Power rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with noise or warning. It enters quietly, through small permissions. At first, nothing feels different. Life follows the same routine. Decisions feel familiar. The inner voice sounds unchanged. But something subtle has already shifted. Perspective begins to adjust. Authority settles into the mind. And once it does, perception slowly stops being neutral. This is not a story about ambition, and not about corruption. It is about adaptation, about how the human mind responds when influence becomes normal. Most people believe they would notice the change immediately. They wouldn't, because power doesn't feel dangerous at first. It feels earned. It feels justified. And that is why the shift often goes unnoticed. Before influence, limits were visible. Feedback existed. Mistakes had consequences. Other people mattered in every decision. Resistance created balance. Life felt grounded. Nothing suggested this balance would disappear. There was no warning sign, no dramatic moment, just a stable system that depended on friction to survive. The shift didn't begin with control. It began with responsibility, being listened to, having opinions taken seriously. People started waiting for approval. Advice carried weight. The feeling was subtle but powerful. It felt earned. It felt deserved. And that feeling slowly rewrote internal rules. The first changes were small. Interruptions felt acceptable. Disagreement felt inefficient. Silence from others felt productive. Nothing felt wrong. In fact, everything felt smoother. Decisions moved faster. Less explanation was needed. And that efficiency felt like progress, not warning. Confidence grew faster than awareness. Success reinforced behavior. The absence of resistance felt like confirmation. Decisions required less reflection. Justification became optional. Questions felt unnecessary. No one pushed back. No one challenged direction. And confidence slowly replaced curiosity. The environment adapted quickly. People changed their tone. Conversations became careful. Honesty turned selective. Discomfort disappeared. What looked like respect was often avoidance. But it felt like alignment, and that alignment removed the last signals of imbalance. Friction is uncomfortable, but it is essential. Without it, judgment weakens. Power removes friction first, not intentionally, but consistently. Resistance fades, correction disappears, and behavior begins to drift without feedback. Authority slowly became identity. Worth became tied to position. Influence replaced reflection. The role became the self. Stepping back felt threatening. Distance felt risky. Because once power is internalized, the mind resists separation from it. Pressure increased quietly. Expectations rose. Decisions carried more weight, but feedback was gone. Without resistance, stress had nowhere to go. It turned inward. Silence replaced clarity, and certainty replaced caution. The blind spot wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. Certainty removes curiosity. Questions feel inefficient. Doubt feels unnecessary. Mistakes become invisible. And when they finally appear, they arrive already multiplied. One unchecked decision created another, then another. Correction became harder, distance grew, trust thinned. Momentum continued. Stopping felt impossible, and forward motion hid growing instability. Nothing collapsed dramatically, no confrontation, no explosion, just gradual erosion. Relationships cooled, opportunities narrowed, isolation formed quietly, and consequences appeared long after the causes were forgotten. Power isolates slowly, not because others leave, but because honesty disappears. Without challenge, perspective narrows. When no one questions you, you stop questioning yourself. and isolation becomes the new normal. The realization came late, not as regret, but as confusion. Why did everything feel heavier? Why did success feel empty? The answer wasn't external. It never was. The shift had happened long before the collapse. Power doesn't corrupt instantly. It reshapes perception. It removes friction. It accelerates certainty. And without awareness, the mind adapts in dangerous ways, not through intention, but through repetition. This pattern repeats everywhere, in leadership, in wealth, in influence. The mechanism is always the same, and the warning signs are always quiet. By the time they are visible, the damage is already done. Power doesn't change people overnight. It changes what they stop noticing. Most collapses begin long before failure appears. If you want more stories about money, power, and human behavior, this is where they continue.